Good day, everyone. So in this video, we're going to discuss the properties of the definite integral. So itong mga properties na to, this will help us solve problems easier in the future. So let us first recall a quick recap ng pinag-aralan natin before ng definite integral as area under a curve. So we have this one, that the definite integral from a to b ng f of x dx is equal to the limit as n approaches infinity of the sum I running from 1 to n f of x sub I delta x. Again, we refer to this method as the method of Riemann sums, wherein we're taking the sum of the shapes of the areas of the shapes used. In this case, this gives us the area of each rectangular strip or rectangular region na ginamit natin to fit the curve. Moreover, delta x here is equal to b minus a over n, or we're dividing the interval into n rectangular parts. Okay, we can use this definition to prove the properties that we're going to discuss shortly. Okay, let's proceed to discussing the properties. First one is if we have that a is greater than b and the definite integral from a to b of f of x dx exists, then the definite integral from a to b of f of x dx is equal to the negative definite integral from b to a of f of x dx. So, ang nangyari lang dito is nag-switch yung bounds. Nag-switch yung upper and lower limits ng definite integral natin. So, this happens because recall that delta x is equal to b minus a over n. Pero ang assumption natin dito is that b is greater than a. So, ibig sabihin, if a is greater than b, this would mean that delta x here is less than 0. In the same manner that this means that a minus b over n is greater than 0. So technically, nagkakaroon lang ng negative sign to account for the change in the sign of the, change in the value of the bounds. Kung alin yung mas malaki or yung mas maliit. Alright? Next, if f of a exists, then the definite integral from a to a of f of x dx is equal to 0. So again, we can think of this as delta x being equal to a minus a over n. So this is 0. Ibig sabihin, lahat ng rectangles na gagamitin natin, meron siya isang side measure na equal to 0. So it will make sense na yung area under this curve will be 0. Or, graphically, pwede natin isipin na area lang siya sa ilalim ng isang point. So, wala siyang area. Or 0 yung kanyang area. Okay? Now, let's proceed. So, for any constant c, the definite integral from a to b ng c dx is equal to c times quantity b minus a. So we're taking the area under a horizontal line. So graphically, it would look something like this. So, para lang tayo naghahanap ng area ng isang rectangle. Itong area na to. At ang area ng rectangle na to, ang side measure nito ay B minus A at ang side measure na to ay C. So we just took the product of the two side measures to get C times quantity B minus A. Hi, the next two are technically adapted from when we discuss the concept of anti-differentiation na i-adapt lang natin sa context ng definite integral. So, ibig sabihin, whether for indefinite integral or definite integral, these two hold. Okay, so for any constant c, the definite integral from a to b ng c f of x dx is equal to c times the definite integral from a to b f of x dx. And for two functions f and g, we can take the definite integral of the two functions individually, then take their sum or difference. So again, it is important to note that this is not true for product or quotient. Okay, so sana walang gagawa na paghihiwalayin tapos kukunin yung product or kukunin muna yung antiderivative then saka kukunin yung product. So it does not work that way. Okay, next property, this one is actually fascinating. So we have the definite integral from a to c ng f plus the definite integral from c to b ng f ay equal sa definite integral from a to b ng f. So let us demonstrate or illustrate. So for instance, we have this arbitrary curve. Type, labelan lang natin to as 1, 2, 3. Okay, if we have this arrangement, this is 1, this is 2, and this entire thing is 3. So, it makes sense. So, case 1, A is less than C is less than B. But the good thing about this one, this property, is that kahit anong arrangement ng ating A, B, and C, it will still hold true. So, kumari, we have A is less than B is less than C. So, pagbaliktarin lang natin ang B at C. In this case, yung 1 natin is this entire thing. Yung 2 natin, yung 3 muna. Yung 3 is this one. Yung 2 natin is if we use the first property presented in this video, this is technically equal to negative ng definite integral from B to C ni F. So parang from this entire thing, sinubtract natin si 2. Ito yung 1, binawas natin si 2, at ang result ay si 3. Okay? Now, you can do the same for the other cases. In total, there will be 6 cases. And you will find that this one is always true. We just have to take into account the sign. Okay, the next 3 properties are what are known to be comparison properties. The first one, if you have a function which is always non-negative in that closed interval AB, then the area under that curve or under that function is also non-negative. So, isipin lang natin, no, na meron tayong curve. Let's say ganyan. Now, for any x value between A and B, the curve is always above the x-axis or it is greater than or equal to 0. So, ibig sabihin, itong part na to, which is the definite integral from A to B, will also be greater than or equal to 0. Next comparison property is that if you have two functions f and g, wherein f is always greater than or equal to g, dun sa interval na yon, then the area under f will always be greater than or equal to the area under g. So an illustration, let's say this is f. Yeah, let's say this is g. Tapos, ito yung A to B natin. Yung first part here, ito yung blue. Technically, ang ibig sabihin nito is yung area under F. This part here. And the area under G will be this part here. So, ang sinasabi lang niyan, laging mas malaki yung area under F compared dun sa area under G. Okay? And the last comparison property is that if you have a function which is bounded above by capital M and bounded below by small m, then the definite integral from a to b ng f of x dx will be bounded below by m, small m times b minus a, and bounded above by capital M times b minus a. So what does this mean? Let us draw an illustration. So for instance, we have a function f. Tapos, ito yung AB natin. Then, let's say we have small m here. And capital M here. Now, dito sa interval na to, laging mas malaki yung function value compared sa small m, pero mas maliit kay capital M. Now, we can think of this one as this area or this rectangle ang gagamitin natin. Tapos, we can think of this one as this rectangle. So, ang sinasabi nito is that yung actual area under the curve F from A to B will be between the area of the red rectangle and the area of the green rectangle. Okay, so yan yung pwede natin isipin as the graphical represent or graphical interpretation of this property. Now, these properties, we're going to solve them or we're going to apply them in the next video in solving some problems.